Good to know that we don't come up with excuses. Whatever we have, God led me to this message today because that's what we're going to be talking about. Use what you have, or whatever God give you, use that, and God's going to bless you. Oh, we've led to the book of Exodus. It's fitting for this time of year because the same thing he did, the promises he made to Moses, he'd make it to his people today. God has not changed, and will not change. But what we're going through now is all because of sin. Everything that's happened in the world, God knew was going to happen. He also said, I will put diseases upon man that he cannot cure. And that's what I'm afraid is coming into the world today. This virus is in the world, but we're not, you got it, we just passing through. This is not our home. We have a kingdom, so that we should not let nothing in the world frighten us. Have no fear. Because the scripture says that the wait upon the Lord said, we'll do this strength. And the mount of the wings of an eagle. They should run and not be worried, walk and not faint. That's a promise from God. But we're going to pray for our youth people downstairs there, that they take a few minutes to be back with us a little later on. But I want to read again the 4th chapter, verses 1 through 5, and this is what it said. And Moses answered and said, but, behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For there was said, the Lord hath not appeared unto thee. And the Lord said unto him, what is that in thine hand? And he said, a rod. And he said, cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and he became a serpent. And Moses fled from before him. And the Lord said unto Moses, put forth thine hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand, and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. That they may believe that the Lord God of their father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, had appeared unto thee. You probably wonder first, why did God tell them to pick it up by the tail and not the head? Because he said later on the word, we have somebody going to bruise his head later on. I think you know what I'm talking about. But we're not going to hold you too long, but if we can't believe this message I'm going to give you today, then you waste your time coming here. The Bible says, in fact, the Bible is an old story, but we must believe every word of it. So you're telling me I must believe that God took a stick that was turned into a serpent, and he turned that serpent into a stick again. And you're telling me he took that stick and set his people free. You also telling me he took the stick and divided the Red Sea. This we must believe, because this is not a fairy tale. You must believe that this stick that he took was what set his people free. And that stick is still working today. I hope you understand me. See, we are, sometimes the things we cannot understand, we try to figure it out for ourselves. But God always said that he'll give us what we need whenever we need it. So we're just going to use for a short subject, what's in thy hand. What you have in your hand that you can use for God. I'm going to say it again. What do you have? God has given each one of us something to use for God. And what we have, no one else has it. Are you following now? If, in other words, victory is ours if we make ourselves available to God. But this takes commitment, faith, and passion. And this is what's happening in the world today. Many churches closed down because they saw an opportunity just to stay home and do what they wanted to do. In fact, they was happy to be able to stay home. But the more I thought about it, it made me feel bad that so many churches would close the home because close the house because the devil said so. But the devil has no control over God's house. And I'm going to say it again. If you have your trust in God and believe in what Jesus Christ did on that cross and focus your faith in Him only, you're covered with the blood. And when you're covered with the blood, I don't care, as the youth minister prayer, I don't care what kind of disease they put out there, it has no power over you now. I hope you take this now. But Moses, as like so, hesitated to make himself available to God because of fear and insecurity. This is what's happening today. In other words, God asked Moses a question: what is that in thine hand? And our omniscient God wanted to make it a word to Moses that he had something which could become available if it was made available to God's services. Everyone present here, I'm repeating myself today, has something present for God's service. In other words, if you make yourself available, use it. And don't try to copy somebody else, because you're the only one that who you are. Nobody can be like you. In fact, the intent of this message is to motivate us to faithfulness, and know what special weapon we have, and then appreciate it and make it available unto God. Don't be a copycat, because nobody has what you have. You have what you have, use it, and use it for the Lord. And be yourself. Stop trying to be somebody else. I hope you'll hear me today now. God had groomed and protected Moses. In fact, he protected life from his birth up to the place of the scripture text, where he was now having the conversation with a burning bush. The conversation was taking place on what had become Moses' holy ground, the place of God called and response to serve. Everyone that God called has a holy ground. Yes. That's what makes us different than the entire world. When I stand in this holy place, I'm not worried about the devil himself, because he has no power over God's holy ground. After 80 years in the favor of the protection of God, Moses is yet hesitant to accept his calling to lead the children of Israel from Egypt to the promised land. In spite of all that God had written in Moses' life, he yet had fear about his calling and mission. He seemed to forget the power of God that had already became demonstrated in his life. God's power had called him. In other words, he survived the threat of death to all the newborn Hebrew children. In other words, he was hidden and protected by his own mother. And for approximately 3 months, God took care of Moses. He became the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He was tended by his own mother, spent 40 years in Egypt, and after 40 years at the backside of the desert, in other words, it took 40 years to get Egypt out of Moses. And it's going to take a long time sometimes to get the devil out of you and I. Because he never gives up, my brother and sister. I can remember years ago at that vestibule out there when the devil talked to this woman and said, I'm going to kill you, Reverend Davis. She was not speaking herself, foaming at the mouth. The devil was speaking out of her belly. So the devil is real. Yes, he is. And if you don't believe, unless you cover the blood, don't mess with him. He has no power over a child of God. But if you play in church and your faith is in the wrong direction, you need to get on your knees and ask God to protect you. Are you following me? You need to be filled with the compassion, humility, fairness. Or he had to be cured of his impatience, which caused him to slay an Egyptian who was mistreating a Hebrew slave. Yet after God appearing and appealed to Moses in such a personal way, he finally said, yes, Lord, I am available. With a yes, answered God's call, all of his years of grooming and protection have been wasted. Don't let God waste his time on your life. Make yourself available to God. Become a child of God. In other words, when God called us all to go into the world and preach the gospel, he wasn't just not talking about the preacher. Every one of us that wakes up with a blood rolling vein, we are the ones to spread this gospel of Jesus Christ. Tell somebody about Jesus. Tell them on the job. You don't have to walk around buffing people all the time, but let them know you're a child of God. And somehow he'll give you an opportunity to spread the word. So after listening to the word of God, we see that unbelief had turned Moses into a person who was full of fear and full of excuses. Have you ever tried to prepare someone for a mission or a special assignment, and all you hear from them was excuses and alibi? Oh yeah, you want to throw your hands up and give up, because sometimes this happened to me many times. In other words, I've asked people to do certain things. First thing they say I must pray, then they come back and say, I don't think I can do it. But you need to put your trust in God. Are you following me? In other words, Moses' prayer was based upon the people's reaction to his godly call and mission. Notice Moses' conversation with God in chapter 4 concerning the great task of bringing Israel out of Egypt. God knew what he would do and use Moses for, even before he came out of his mother's womb. Same for you and I. When he called us into the service of God, he promised us, Romans 18, all things work together for good to them that love the Lord, and those that call for a purpose. Everyone present has been called for a purpose. And use what you have. I don't care how small it is, how large it is. God can use it. He answered in verse 1, they won't believe me or obey my voice. God answered that fear by giving him the power to work miracles and right before their eyes. God gave him power, this miraculous power to turn a rod or a stick into a serpent, and then it turned to a rod again. In verse 2, the miraculous power to make his hand leprous and then whole again. Verse 3, the power to turn water from the river into blood. Moses had another excuse. I'm not eloquent in my speech. In verse 12, God says, I will be with thy mouth and teach thee what to say. God gave him others. Otherwise, he would have also that was understand him. God gave the blessing of his staff in his hand. In other words, God allowed brother Aaron to join in his commission with Sam. In other words, now the wheels of great deliverance are set and going forward to bring deliverance to Israel. Hopefully it will not take such demonstration by God to convince each one of us to be disciples and to use the will of God. We trust that there are yet some women so like Paul in Acts 9:6, and he trembling and astonished and said, Lord, what would I have me to do? In other words, after he had the message experience, he turned his life over to God. Let me clue you, if you don't already know it, to be the leader that God wants you to be. It will entail being able to withstand criticism and rejection. When you do something for the Lord, they're going to criticize you. When you do it for the Lord, you're going to just sit back and do nothing, and they won't say anything about you. You are going to have to make a decision and change that many will disagree. So get ready to rebuke that Moses spirit by letting people get under your skin. The big factor in the house of God, there are too many leaders with that Moses spirit. Too much compromising, trying to please man. You can please man all your life, and you still will find fault in your direction. Remember that your gifting and your anointing is a matter of you being available and not a matter of your qualification. Hear what God says about the servant Jordan. Moreover, whom he did what? Predestinate, them he also called. And whom he called, them he also justified. And whom he justified, them he also glorified. When God calls anyone to bring God's word leader, you've been justified, you've been glorified. In other words, God tells Pastor, speak and challenge the people of God now to come to the house of God. We must know for special gifts and talent and recognize that we possess with and become committed to using it for God only. Are you following me? In other words, just don't be full of excuses, which can progress into a weak or a drawback condition. Keep your focus upon God and not upon what people may say. Some condemn your surrendered service, but put it all in God's hand. Some may doubt that you have anything in your hand that will benefit the kingdom. Some may be fearful and nervous always isn't not quite sure that the commitment and goal can be done. Others may stress out and will be overwhelmed. Avoid those folks that would discourage you. Some refuse to serve concerning the people's reaction to the service because they do not trust God. It encourages you to make that gift available. Free it up for God. Use it and use it only. If you completely make your gift entirely available to God, your rod become a rod of God. The word of God mentioned here, able to do exceeding abundantly of all that we ask. Thinking according to the power of the working in us. God is with us, and God is in us. Moses had a great, in other words, leader. He was a great leader and faithful servant. Yet, at first, he was reluctant to become involved in God's master plan to deliver Israel. Each one of you must answer the personal question that God asks you. What do you have in your hand? What will you free up and make available to the call of God? If you can sing, sing to the glory of God. If you're a preacher, preach to the glory of God. If you're deacon, deacon to the glory of God. If you're a prayer warrior, fight to the glory of God. Because Colossians 3 says, and whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord and Savior. Give God the glory. And are you hearing me? I will give thanks to God and the Father by Him. Thank God for what you have in your hand. God has already promised Moses that he would what? Be with him to help and strengthen him in all his ways. Yet Moses was concerned about his ability and qualification. No matter how qualified or skilled or ability we may think we are, but we still need a call from God. We need the help of God to do what we need to do. Finally, God had asked Moses the question, what in thy hand? And Moses answered that I have a rod. God questioned to Moses, show that we serve and reason with God, use what you already have, and work with what you already been blessed with. But Moses' rod had to be made available to God for his use. What do you have? Make it available to God. The stick became a rod of God. When we make available what is in our hand, it belongs to God and not you. Your gift and talent. It's not yours. God gives it to you. And you have to praise God. It was not for God. You want to be, if you can sing, sing to the glory of God. If you can preach, preach to the glory of God. If you pray, pray to the glory of God. God made it available to you. The Lord, I'm available. I place myself in your hand. Let us learn the lesson of Moses, gleaming from the burning bush. Encounter with God. It is not your qualification that matters, but your availability that is important. Once you have already surrendered him to him, he then equips you forever. The assignment he gives you, then you will become a word child changer, a God changer. The prophet Isaiah said in a vision to God, in the year that King Uzziah died, he came to the conclusion that his life was in the mess. He saw others with unclean lips, but in other words, but he did nothing about their condition. Isaiah said in 6:5, he saw his own unworthy condition and said, woe to me, for I'm undone, because I'm a man of unclean lips. I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Help me, Holy Ghost. Isaiah realized that he was not yet qualified to carry the professor message of the Messiah. When he made himself available to God for service, then God sent him heavenly creature to purge his unclean lips. And he became Messianic prophet. It was Isaiah who declared, unto a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Isaiah, God prepared Isaiah to be used in his service. Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send, and who will go for him? Then said I, here I am, send me. This is the attitude of every child of God. Jesus, being an example to us, did not mention his qualification as the Son of the living God, but made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, of a man in the likeness of man. Jesus did not use his God power. He used the earthly power that God put upon him. Jesus humbled himself and said yes to power. The Bible recorded him making himself available. In fact, when he said sacrifice and offering, and but offering for sin that would not, neither has pleasure therein, which are offered by the law. Then said he, Lord, come to do thy will, O God. Let us look to Jesus. When he became available, God equipped Jesus for the earthly assignment. How God anointed him naturally with the Holy Ghost and with power. What? He went about doing good and heal all that were oppressed by the devil. God is with his church today. Yeah, he'll make you a world changer. He'll bring you healing joy. I found out a long time ago, it's healing in the church, joy in the church, peace in the church, prosperity in the church. If God called you and you become available, he will equip you even when your life needs to be redirected and redesignated. Many Bible leaders that God chose to use, his servant had history in their life. Look at the people that God used. If he used them, he used you and I. Look at Jacob. Jacob was a swindler and he became the patriarch of the 12 tribes of Israel. Elijah, the great prophet, was a moody and suffering bout of depression. After defeating all of those enemies, he let a woman run him for his life. Noah, who saved the earth by building an ark, he had a drinking problem. He was a drunk. Yeah, he got used to him and helped save the creature earth. Your pastor, look at me. I was a drunk one time, but he used me to spread the gospel. Hold my mule, I feel like shouting. You remember Jonah? Jonah had a problem with obeying the authority. His life running from the very presence of God. Look at David. Was courageous and sought after God's own heart. Yet he was he had uncontrollable woman problem. He was a fornicator. He was a murderer. But yet God used him. Look at Paul. Yes, sir. Paul. He made himself a harlot of the church. Entered into every home. Hauled the men and women back to be crucified. But Paul became the leader of the Gentiles. Look at Peter. You remember Peter, a cursed fisherman with a high temper. He had a loud mouth. He spoke out of turn. But God still used him. Look at Thomas. Thomas was a skeptic and a doubter, unbeliever. But God used him. Yes, God called to qualify. God help me now. Yet God called, qualified, and used all of these men. God doesn't call to qualify, he qualifies the calling. I say he don't have to be qualified to call you, but once he calls you, you'll be qualified. The person that posed to anyone who desires to serve the Lord, what's in thine hand? What do you have? What are you willing to free up to give God to become your business servant? Are you available? Are you committed? Do you have compassion? Do you love people? God does not guarantee us that doing ministry will always be easy. But he said that he would not leave us nor forsake us. We are constant 2 Corinthians 3:5 that we are what? Sufficient of ourselves to think not anything of ourselves, but our sufficient of God. It's not what we do, it's what God has already done. Are you following me, church? The name of Jesus, we have the victory in that name. The power is in the name of Jesus. Now thanks be to God, which always causes us to triumph in Christ. We can't lose. Lord, I know about you, but I make a manifest answer of the knowledge by the use of every place I go. Use what God has given you. Stop worrying about the other person. There is one thing I want to tell. If you just sit back and if you have a little bit, use that for God. I believe what Jesus did on the cross, he'll call Calvary, or he will give us all the victory. If we just what? Just believe. Paul called his faith in grace. It is the faith of Christ. It's what he's already done on Calvary. I don't know about you, but the blood is still working. I said the blood is still working. Stand by the riverside and wait till I get there. Call my name, I call on the other side. I'm talking about Jesus. Do you know who he is? He's Alpha and Omega. He's Emmanuel. He's the King of Kings. He's the Lord of Lords. Morning Star, Prince of Peace. He's wonderful. He's Counselor. He's the Lamb of God. Are you following me? He's the Savior of the world. He's the Good Shepherd. That's it. The Lord is your shepherd. You shall not want. He is the way. He is the Lord of Lords. He is the anointed one. He is the bread of life. Are you following me? He is the glory. Yes, he is. He is the victory in every corner. He is the great and high priest. He is the heir of things. Are you following me? He is holy. He's righteousness. He is the Lord of glory. He is the Messiah. He is the teacher. He is the Most High. He is the truth. He is the Word of God. Are you following me? You must be transformed into world leaders. We must make sure that we follow God. I don't know about you. That's what I'm talking about. God has proved all things to me. He's a lily in my valley. He's my bright and morning star. Somebody said, He's bread when you're hungry. He's water when you're thirsty. He's peace, hallelujah, when you're in trouble. He's joy when you're sad. I don't know about you, but every time I get down, the Lord picks me back up. And I'm a know because one day I was sinking deep in sin, far from that peaceful shore, very deep in the stain within, singing to rise no more. But the master of the sea heard my distress cry, from the water lifted me. Now I'm saving I call that name, Jesus in his name. Sometimes I just say, Jesus, Jesus. If I call it long enough, he come to my rescue. Is he all right, church? Is he able? What's his name? What's his name? What's the high praise? But I'm so glad. They set him high, set him wide. Nails in his hand, nails in his feet, but the nails didn't hold him there. It's the love he had for you and I. Love lifted me. When I was down in the valley, love picked me up. When I was on the way to hell, love picked me up. When I lost everything, the love gave it back. Is he all right, church? I said, is he all right? But I gotta feel the word of God, because I read where they put him in the grave. He did put him in the grave. Yeah, but he was not dead, but he stayed there all day Friday, all Friday night, all day Saturday, all Saturday night. But early Sunday morning, did he get up? Is he all right? Is he all right? Say yeah, say yeah, say yeah. What do you have? Use what you have in your hand. I heard somebody say, I can't be like Reverend Buchanan. I can't be like Reverend Morgan. I can't be like Dr. Gill. But I can be the best Davis you ever seen. Be yourself. Use what you have. And God and his children will defeat this virus. The devil has no power over you and I. I was overjoyed this morning when I came in. See so many here for the 8 o'clock service. And then I come back and see that you came out for the 11 o'clock service. You validated what I knew that God would plead with. Never close the house of God. I made my mind if I was going to be here by myself, I was going to hold service. I was going to preach to myself, put my offering in the offering box, have altar call by myself and go home. But God saw fit to bring me out. Give your hand to praise. Give your hand to praise. God bless you. May we stand to our feet, please. Right now, the doors of the church are open. When we make that statement, that means your heart. If he's knocking on your heart door, let him in. He'll come and be with you and he'll never leave you. But you have to accept him who he is. He is the Son of God. There's already here. Just come with your hand. heart to God. All you have to do is step forth. I'll take your hand. God must take your heart. Go ahead and sing it. Man, you may sit down. You may sit down right now. I'm going to have a short review from the youth department.
What book did we learn about today? What was the book? The book out of the Bible called? Exodus, right?
Yeah.
And who was the person we were talking about? There was this man that God called. What's his name?
Moses.
You got it. And Moses, he was called to get God's who?
Slaves.
Yeah, God's people were held as slaves where?
In Africa.
Yeah, in Africa. There was a country in Africa called Egypt, right?
Yeah.
And then God said, you know what, Moses, I want you to get these people out of slavery. Moses said, how am I supposed to do it? I don't have what it takes to do it, right? What did God tell him? Use what? Use a who? In the microphone. Use that rod that's in your hand. And what did he tell him to do with that rod?
Drop it.
And what happened when he dropped it on the ground?
It turned to a snake.
It did. So it came to life and turned. Y'all should have heard this story already. And just in case he fell asleep, we just repeated it for you. But here it was. And when he turned it into a snake, then God said, what I want you to do with it now?
Pick it up.
Pick it up. And so he picked up the snake by the tail, right?
Yeah.
And you're not, a lot of you guys don't know this, you never touch an animal by its tail. Because if you touch it by its tail, it gets startled. And it'll turn around and bite you. But God told him, he said, look, you got power over the serpent. You got power over everything that comes in. So pick it up by the tail. This same rod he used, and he parted the Red Sea. The same rod that he used to hit a rock and bring out water. The same rod he used to turn all the water into blood. But was it the rod that had the power?
No.
What had power?
God.
And so it doesn't matter what I have in my hand, right?
Yeah.
Who's got the power?
God.
God's always got the power. And as long as you remember that, you'll be all right. That was our lesson for the day. Angelo, bring that up to Reverend Davis. He wants to use that rod.
You know, the trouble with a lot of, I'm not talking about your mind, the trouble with a lot of church folks, they think that the Bible is a fairy tale. God actually took a stick and freed his people out of Egypt. A stick. He took a stick, it's a piece of wood, a rod, and opened the Red Sea. But we think it's a fairy tale. It actually happened. So if he could take this stick and free Egypt, why are we scared of the virus going around? You know, we should rejoice knowing that the virus has no control over a child of God. This is the time he turned a stick into a snake, and a snake back into a stick. And to add what he said there, he told him to pick it up by the tail, not the head, because later on he said somebody going to bruise his head later on. I'm not going to mess with his head unless who's going to bruise his head? Jesus the Christ. Yeah, that's why he didn't pick it up. That's another reason why he didn't pick it up by the head. But the point is, whenever you read that Bible, believe it. If it sounds like a fairy tale to you, you're in the wrong book. Because everything in that Bible is actually happening like he said it would happen. And you got to put your faith in God. And if he can stop the water from flowing with a stick, you think he can't keep you out of that virus that's going around? I wish somebody hear me today. Keep on giving God the praise. Now, if you don't remember that, thank you, sir. I had some calls this morning. I don't know if the church is open. So nobody call you about Mount Zion, you tell them Mount Zion doors will not close, they stay open. If they want that, just tell them it's gonna be open. Somebody will be here. If I'm not here, God will make a way for somebody else to be here. You understand? Maybe stand to our feet, please. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Father. God bless you. Give us a good home music to that, Doc. That's the story, just trust Him. Every time you come to the house of God, make sure you drew this chair here. Remind us of the man of God, the deacon we just lost. He's not in that chair. You can't see him, but his spirit is. Do you understand that? See, those are things we got to believe. You can't make it out of your mind because you don't have the mind of Christ. But if you believe it, you know what happened. Hey. She keeps an eye on me all the time. Let us look to the Lord and be dismissed. The Holy Supper is kept in need, whatsoever share with another's need. May the grace of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and the love of God, the unity of the Holy Spirit, rest, rule, abide, and be with us all forevermore. May we all the saints pray the same. Give somebody the elbow punch and tell them that you love them.